Ladies and gentlemen, the British have invaded, and they've brought sarcasm and betrayal. Piers Morgan just shanked Donald Trump with a monologue so dramatic, Shakespeare would have dropped his quill and said, damn. For years, Piers played Trump's #1 hype man, defending him like it was a paid job, which, let's be honest, it kinda was. But suddenly, Morgan goes from Trump's misunderstood genius to this man lost the plot, and not with a gentle nudge. No, this was a tea-sipping double-decker God Save the Queen style takedown. One minute it's bromance. The next, Piers is flame-throwing Trump's reputation like he's torching marshmallows at Buckingham Palace. Let's unpack this.
I think that's an appropriate precedent to set, even if it wasn't you in this position, to see a president serve a third term.
I don't want to talk about a third term now because no matter how you look at it, we got a long time to go. We have a long time. You know, we have almost 4 years to go. And that's a long time. But despite that, so many people are saying, you've got to run again. They love the job we're doing. Most importantly, they love the job we're doing.
Trump doing mental gymnastics to dodge a simple question about a third term, like he's trying to rebrand dictatorship as just vibes. People love the job I'm doing. Sir, your approval rating is somewhere between lukewarm oatmeal and the IRS. Meanwhile, Piers with that silky British shade points out the obvious. Trump's fantasy isn't just running again, it's running forever. Forget tanks rolling down Pennsylvania Ave. He probably imagines golden Trump statues replacing the Lincoln Memorial. And folks, this is just the warm-up, because when Piers Morgan, the man who basically had Trump Stan stitched onto his Union Jack, starts flipping the narrative, you know something juicy is coming, so don't go anywhere. The next clip, oh, it gets even messier.
Harris laid out a series of glaring traps for the former president, and like a cartoon mouse distracted by the cheese, he became ensnared by all of them. She snared him with rage bait about his rallies. And it worked.
Again, petty stuff, but I just love Piers Morgan, who presents himself as a nonpartisan journalist with no particular bias, acknowledging that Donald Trump had an unambiguous, unmitigated.
So let's get this straight. Kamala Harris set up a few strategic landmines during the debate, and Trump walked into every single one of them like Wile E. Coyote chasing a roadrunner made of voter backlash. And there was Piers Morgan, finally admitting what we've all known since 2016. Trump isn't a master tactician. He's a rage-driven chaos muppet who falls for bait faster than a cat in a laser pointer store. But the real gag here, watching Piers, the former high priest of Trump worship, start calling out the obvious, like he didn't just spend years gushing over the man like a royal correspondent covering a royal baby. Let's rewind for a second, because this wasn't just some admiration from Morgan. No, this was obsession. Piers didn't just support Trump. He practically wanted to get adopted by him. He was out here writing verbal love letters in his columns, grinning like a kid in a MAGA hat factory anytime Trump gave him attention. Trump could have said the sky was green and hospitals should sell Big Macs, and Piers would have called it refreshing political honesty.
Whatever you think of Trump, you can no longer deny he has enormous personal courage. I mean, to do what he did took real balls of steel. Anyway, he was watching, and when I got back to my hotel, he rang me. We had a 15-minute chat. He was exactly the same Donald Trump he's always been. He hadn't changed one iota. He spent 5 minutes talking about how much his ears had bled and how he discovered that ears bleed more than any other body part. And his ears, of course, bled more than most people's ears.
I mean, just listen to that. Balls of steel? Is this a news segment or a fan fiction? Piers literally had a post-debate phone call with Trump where they spent 15 minutes discussing the physics of ear bleeding, because of course they did. This is the same Trump who could derail a NATO summit with a story about how his ketchup stains are stronger than everyone else's. And Piers, he was hanging on to every word like Trump just discovered the cure for hearing loss. There was a time, not so long ago, when Piers Morgan's Trump devotion was, let's call it intimate. Every unhinged tweet, every press conference meltdown, Morgan was there, emotionally spooning the narrative and whispering, "You're doing amazing, sweetie." Because for Piers, Trump wasn't just a political figure. He was content, pure, unfiltered, rage-click gold, the kind of chaos that guaranteed airtime and headlines. So naturally, Morgan attached himself to the spectacle like a moth to a dumpster fire, because nothing says journalistic integrity like cuddling up to the human equivalent of a walking, talking Twitter war. And yet, here we are. Piers is backing away. Trump is bleeding from the ears, and somehow this circus is just getting started.
The point about Trump is he's 78, but has the energy of a 60-year-old.
The energy, this guy is so brain-addled. He thinks that Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the Capitol on January 6th. He thinks that Jeb Bush got us involved in the war in the Middle East. He thinks that, like, I mean, he spends most of his rallies talking about
what you just said.
Hannibal Lecter. He spends most of his rallies talking about Hannibal Lecter, about magnets, about sharks. I mean, the notion that this guy is in his right mind is
right. Trump has the energy of a 60-year-old? Sure. And I've got the metabolism of a teenager. He's got energy, all right. The kind you get from 5 Diet Cokes, 4 hours of sleep, and 0 self-awareness. Let's be real. This isn't presidential vigor. It's pure, unfiltered chaos caffeine. The man's out here name-dropping Hannibal Lecter in political speeches, ranting about sharks, and mixing up Pelosi and Jeb Bush like it's a bad SNL sketch. He's not campaigning. He's doing open mic night at a conspiracy convention. And who's there for every unhinged moment? Piers Morgan, the hype man of hysteria. Because back in the day, Trump wasn't just a political figure to Piers. He was an opportunity, a chaos generator with a wireless mic and an unlimited supply of ego. Trump screamed and Piers amplified. They weren't just aligned. They were fused together in a media spectacle so explosive, it made House of Cards look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. To Piers, Trump wasn't the problem. He was the answer. The big orange wrecking ball sent to knock down the elites and rebuild Washington with gold-plated walls, and Trump branded everything.
I remember Donald Trump telling me when he got to the White House, he put 4 TVs in his bedroom. And he used to wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock because he doesn't sleep. And he'd look at the TVs, and if he didn't like what was on the screen or if it wasn't about him, he'd just pull his phone out and tweet something, and next thing they'd all change in real time. Breaking news, President Trump says blah, blah, blah. And I kind of related to that. It was like, if I wake up in the morning and I'm not trending, it's like, there's a problem, and I have to deal with it. So yeah, look, I'm in the opinion business. It's very lucrative for me. I make a lot of money out of it. I get a lot of notoriety and fame.
And there it is. Trump, so addicted to the spotlight, would literally change the global news cycle from bed, like a toddler with executive powers and a phone full of bad ideas. And Piers, he didn't just relate, he admired it. This wasn't journalism, it was a bromance built on mutual narcissism and the shared belief that fame equals power. Piers wanted to trend, Trump wanted to be worshipped, and together they created a media black hole that sucked in the entire planet. But that bond, it was never built on values, it was built on views, and views fade. Eventually, even Piers Morgan, the Trump hype train conductor, realized that riding shotgun on this circus parade only leads to one destination: political oblivion. Because once the MAGA confetti settles and the retweets dry up, you're just left standing next to a man who can't stop talking about magnets and sharks at presidential rallies. At some point, even the biggest attention addict has to admit this might be bad for business. And that's when Piers, the ride or die, started quietly backing away from the orange inferno he helped fan into flames. But trust me, the next moment, it's the one where the entire Trump-Piers rom-com turns into a breakup ballad. And it's brutal.
This is just sad, man.
How many illegal immigrants did Barack Obama deport in his 8 years as president?
Oh, I don't know.
Have a guess.
No clue.
No clue. Interesting, right? You don't know.
I mean, I know it was a lot, but I don't know the exact number.
Have a guess.
Oh, I don't know.
The answer is over 3 million. He was known as deporter-in-chief by Mexicans.
Yes, and that was more than Trump did.
He deported way more than Trump. He deported way more pro rata than any president in history. Who dropped the most bombs in a calendar year in American history?
Oh, come on. President Barack Obama.
Okay, pause. That clip right there, it's what we call classic Piers, doing intellectual gymnastics to defend Trump by dunking on Obama. This wasn't just about facts, it was about making Trump look like the victim of unfair media persecution. Oh look, Obama dropped bombs too. Yeah, Piers. And I bet Obama also knew where Belgium was on a map and didn't tell NATO leaders to buy beachfront property in Greenland. But then the illusion shattered. And by illusion, I mean the unholy fantasy that Donald Trump was some kind of misunderstood genius in a red tie. Because here's the thing, when you're that close to the fire, eventually you start to smell the smoke. Piers had a front row seat to the Trump show, the tantrums, the global face palms, the scandals that rolled in faster than a Fox News push alert. And slowly, it clicked. Trump wasn't just shaking up the system, he was shaking the country apart like a toddler with a snow globe full of nuclear codes. What once looked like bold leadership started looking a lot like unhinged reality TV just with with higher stakes and worse hair. So what did Piers do? He did what every totally unbiased journalist does when the brand starts sinking. He jumped, and not subtly either. He backpedaled like he was racing for a spot on Dancing with the Stars Political Edition.
But you're kind of rooting for Trump, and you could tell that you were disappointed in how it went. So I get it. You guys are friends. It's okay.
I'm actually,
Anyways,
you've always miscategorized. Just to be clear, I'm not disappointed. I genuinely thought he was going to win.
That moment right there, it's the we were on a break of political breakups. Piers pretending like he wasn't emotionally invested in Trump's downfall is the funniest thing since Trump tried to buy Greenland. You've always miscategorized me? Sir, there are years of footage saying otherwise. Calm down. But now, Piers has turned the knife. The man who once praised Trump's steel balls is now shredding him like it's open mic night at a satire club. And it's not just policy critiques anymore. No, Piers is coming for everything. The decisions, the relationships, the behavior, the golf swings, the way Trump blinks when he's lying. It's personal now. This isn't just someone walking away from the chaos. This is someone who realized they'd been conned, and now they're airing the receipts in high definition. Watching Piers Morgan roast Trump is like watching a jilted ex go on national TV to say, actually, he was the problem. And the best part, Trump's still acting like they're friends. Like any day now, Piers is gonna come crawling back with a bouquet and a Make America Great Again mug. Spoiler alert, that MAGA mug is shattered, and Piers is using the pieces to cut Trump's credibility into confetti. But we're not done.
Piers Morgan makes a great point about the Trump conviction.
I never thought I'd live to see an American president convicted on felony charges. But I always imagined if it did happen, then the case might be about something like a deadly illegal war, an act of treason, or corruption on a grand scale. In the end, it was nothing like that. It was a tawdry overreach designed to humiliate and discredit a political leader involving a payoff to a star for an alleged one-night stand 18 years ago. Ask yourself this: would any other businessman have found themselves in court on felony charges for this?
Ah yes, the historic Trump conviction. Not for war crimes, not for espionage, but for hush money to a porn star. You almost have to laugh. If Netflix pitched this script, it would be rejected for being too unrealistic. And here comes Piers, sliding in with his usual flair, not just critiquing Trump, but delivering a backhanded monologue with the precision of someone who's been waiting for this downfall. This wasn't just a tut-tut from a former friend. No, this was artful destruction. Piers went in with sarcasm sharpened to surgical levels. Every word sliced through the MAGA myth like butter. He wasn't mad. He wasn't disappointed. He was done. To Piers, Trump went from maverick outsider to overgrown man-child with a Twitter addiction and a spray-tan budget that rivals the NASA's. And the roast was relentless. Every failed policy, every delusional speech, every contradiction and conspiracy and unhinged outburst, Piers threw them back at Trump like a greatest hits album of presidential disaster.
Morgan now thinks Trump will win, so he's being nice to Trump. When he thought Trump was going to lose, he was beastly to him in newspaper articles. Morgan believes in nothing, absolutely nothing, other than the self-promotion of Morgan. Who is now, of course, a YouTuber.
Okay, but let's acknowledge the meta twist here. Even Piers' critics know he doesn't actually believe anything, except maybe in Wi-Fi and camera lighting, because sure, Piers has flipped on Trump more times than a pancake at Mar-a-Lago brunch, but this time, it's different. Why? Because Trump isn't just flailing politically, he's sinking, and Piers, professional clout surfer that he is, knows when to grab the nearest lifeboat. And Trump's response? Exactly what you'd expect from a man who's 77 going on 12. No self-reflection, no substance, just shouting, name-calling, and a vague tweet storm where the caps lock key gets abused harder than the truth at a MAGA rally. Trump called Piers a bad journalist. Groundbreaking. What's next? Calling water wet. The irony here is almost too rich. Donald Trump, the supposed media mastermind who built his brand on attention, insults, and winning, now can't even win a verbal spat with Piers Morgan. And that's saying something, because in this final act of political slapstick, it's not Trump doing the humiliating, it's Piers. And he's doing it with headlines, with wit, and with the kind of smirking confidence of a man who's fully aware that he helped build the monster. And now he's cashing in by tearing it down. Trump always promised the best show ever. Too bad he forgot the part where the main character actually knows what he's doing. And the next clip, let's just say, it's the moment Trump finally realizes the crowd isn't clapping anymore.
Everything seriously, and I took that very seriously, but I'm a cheerleader for the country, and our country came out of it better than anybody else. We've done a great job.
My final question, President Trump. been good to catch up with you after this lengthy time. I haven't mentioned...
That's it.
No, yeah.
Last question 4 times.
No, I realise that.
It's
I realise
just
I'm not like...
very dishonest.
I just haven't asked you
You're
about...
very dishonest. This was a 20-minute interview.
Sorry.
Listen, this was a 20-minute interview.
And there it is. The Trump-Morgan meltdown caught on tape. This wasn't just an interview. This was a full-blown implosion in real time. Trump, rattled and defensive, storms out like a pageant queen denied a crown. Piers tries to stay cool, but even he can't contain the chaos. It's petty, it's dramatic, it's deliciously Trumpian. But let's be honest, this was never really about journalistic integrity or some noble political mission. It was always about attention. Piers Morgan and Donald Trump didn't have a friendship. They had a transaction. Trump used Piers like a PR megaphone, and Piers, he happily played along, soaking up the ratings, the headlines, the relevance. They were made for each other, like two reality TV villains trapped in the same elevator. But now that Trump's golden aura has rusted into felony charges and political irrelevance, Piers has done what every good opportunist does. He bailed, and not subtly, not respectfully. He left skid marks on the way out, because the truth is, Piers Morgan never cared about Donald Trump. He cared about the platform Trump gave him. The moment Trump stopped being useful, the bromance was over faster than Trump can scream fake news.
You've been completely unflagging in your refusal to accept defeat.
You know why? Because if our country doesn't have fair and free elections, and if our country doesn't have borders, we don't have a country. We have crooked, corrupt elections.
Here's what I would say to you. I believe it was a free and fair election and that you lost. That's my belief.
And you're a fool.
Maybe I am a fool. Maybe I'm the fool in this conversation.
And you're a fool and you haven't studied.
There it is, the grand finale. Trump, now reduced to shouting "you're a fool" like he's arguing in a high school lunchroom, tries to claw his way out of an interview he can't control. This wasn't strength. This wasn't conviction. This was the sound of a man unraveling, publicly, spectacularly, and in front of someone who knows all his tricks. Because if anyone knows how to throw Trump's entire playbook back in his face, it's Piers Morgan. And the irony? Trump created this monster. He gave Piers the access, the stories, the spotlight, and now that spotlight is burning him alive. Trump spent years mocking critics, denying facts, and spinning tales. But now he's face to face with someone who isn't afraid to clap back, with receipts, sarcasm, and a global platform. Piers has officially gone from Trump's biggest cheerleader to the guy narrating his downfall like it's the season finale of a political soap opera. And we're all watching.
Do you worry about him? Do you worry about his safety? I mean, as a man, you know him. I mean, if he does, he genuinely does phone you up. You're not making that up.
No, he calls me quite a lot. He called me, in fact, he called me the other day. It was absolutely hilarious. He called me the other day, and I kid you not, this is how the conversation went. Piers, it's Donald. He said, I'm just watching you on TV with Melania, and I just said to Melania, wow, he's looking great.
Oh, behave.
And he said, you know something? He's looking so great, I'm going to call him and tell him how great he looks. So I'm just calling you to tell you, Piers, you're looking great.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the circus ends. Not with a bang, but with an awkward, self-congratulatory phone call about who's looking great on TV. Picture it. Trump, so desperate for validation, he's literally cold calling Piers Morgan just to say, hey buddy, you're looking fantastic. Forget policy, forget scandals, forget, running a country. The real crisis? Making sure his ex-bestie knows he's still got it. And Piers, he's loving every second of it, because nothing says serious statesman like obsessively watching yourself on TV with your wife than speed dialing the nearest talk show host to rate your own handsomeness. So here we are, Trump and Piers, once the dynamic disaster duo, now in a competition to see who can out-roast, out-shade, and outlast the other. Trump's lost control, throwing ego-fueled tantrums on air and off. Piers has gone from #1 hype man to world-class heckler, watching the chaos unfold like it's the Super Bowl halftime show. The only difference, no one's cheering for the orange team anymore. It's the ultimate poetic justice. When you build your whole brand on ego, the minute that mirror cracks, everyone gets to watch you fall apart. And guess who's got the best seat in the house? Piers Morgan, arms crossed, popcorn in hand, smirking for the cameras while Trump melts down on speed dial. Don't blink, because the next Trump meltdown is just one click away, and you won't believe how wild it gets.